Oh boy, here we go. Episode 10. You are on the bench with Beeks. I am your humble host, Cody Beekman, and I'm joined as always by Ross, covered in Ross Moormeyer,
Hey, what's up, guys?
and Keats, not your Ned Flanders Zanders.
What's going on, everyone?
Boy, we got a special episode for you today. We have the one and only Jan Hejda with us today. Jan, thank you so much for being here. And let me try this real quick. Děkuji, Jean-To?
Děkuji.
Děkuji, Jean-To. Thank you for being here, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Well, so today we're going to be focused on Jan. So for all your Hockey Day in History fans, sorry, bud. So Jan, what do you if you guys don't know, Jan's ex-NHLer, played in the Czech Extraliga, the Russian Super League, and the NHL, of course. Ever since that, Jan, what you been doing, bud?
Before I retire, I kind of have a deal with my agency who represent me. So I started working for them right away as a family advisor and agent. Also, I was coaching basically whole time. I started with my son's team, and then I was helping Milan Hejduk with his two boys for Thunderbirds.
Oh, nice. Yeah, American Peter, you're right.
Marek and David.
Oh, David. Oh, my gosh. Well, that's awesome. So, like, on the bench with Beeks likes to get really down to the perspectives of hockey. So, let's take it back to baby Jan. Growing up in Czech, just tell us about your growing up there and how you got into hockey.
Like every other kid growing up in Czech Republic, a lot of outdoor games outside, spending a lot of time outside. Obviously, I am a older guy, so we didn't have PlayStations like kids have right now and phones, and all we did was playing outside with friends. I'm not saying just hockey, but basically every sport, soccer, tennis, everything.
Yeah.
And to your question, how I end up playing hockey, it was kind of automatic for me because my grandfather played hockey, my father played hockey, and it was just, I love it. I was watching my father playing. He was a young father. I was born when he was 19 or 20. Kind of different was that grandfather and my father were both goalies, and me, like every other kid, tried to go to the net and be goalie, but my dad told me if he ever see me in the net, he will probably kill me, so that was an option. But there is another story about that. When I play in Columbus and then here in Denver, obviously he came visit me a few times, not just one, but basically almost every year. And my son, who is in hockey, like big time, there was like nothing else, just hockey, since he was very little.
Of course.
He always asked my father to play hockey in a basement or in front of the garage, and he likes to be goalie too. And obviously, I didn't want him to be goalie, but my father told me if I am goalie, he will kill me. But he brought goalie helmet and gloves and pads to him. So I was like, what are you doing? Why are you doing to me?
Like, you're sending separate signals here, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's hilarious. Where did you really start to know that this was going to become a career path for you?
I'm sorry, what was that?
When did you playing in Czech and stuff like that? When did you know it was gonna start to get really serious for you?
Never.
Well, that's actually a good that's a good answer, man. I like that.
Yeah, never, because we just play. The system in Czech Republic is a little different. You just play wherever you live.
Yeah.
Luckily, the place I live was the highest level of hockey team, so So I did play high level, but in the same time, I was never dreaming or thinking about going out of country, out of Czech Republic, and play somewhere else. I had a small goals and small steps, and I think this is the best. This is the best thing for hockey players right now. I see a lot of kids or even like parents, doing what I'm doing, coaching and representing young hockey players. They thinking too much about what's gonna be in the future instead of like focusing where they are right now. So to me, I always was trying to be the best player in the organization or team I was,
Right.
and never really think about going to NHL maybe in 5 years.
Oh, that's awesome. That's actually a really good way to think about it. I mean, you see so many, especially because you're coaching, you see so many, parents and coaches like getting so serious about, like Pee-wee or Bantam league stuff, especially in a high level. And, you could see it wears on the kids just being maybe a little too overzealous. Like if you don't do good now, then you're never going to make it to the NHL.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I think there's so much high expectations and almost people forgetting about hockey is just a game for fun. Like the first main thing about hockey, your kid have to have fun, and there's a lot of private lessons and a lot of private coaches and extra skating through the summer. When I was coaching. Right after season, parents start calling me and asking how many times my son should be skating over summer. Like, how many times a week? Like, is it 5 days a week enough? And I was like, what if your kid just tried to play something else? Why he doesn't play football or basketball, or just let him play something else
or just be a kid.
Just be a kid, exactly.
And that's another thing. I mean, I think a lot of NHLers will say that like playing other sports actually help them with the game of hockey. I mean, why not promote other, spanning out to other different things?
Absolutely. When you're playing hockey, you're using group of muscles important for a hockey, but to balance that young body, I'm a big believer that kids needs to do something else.
Obviously hockey's going to be a huge part of their life, but I mean, you got to have fun and you got to have an actual life outside of it as well.
Maybe it will be a big part of their lives, but statistics says I think they have about 0.08% to become a professional hockey players.
Yeah.
When they are young, out of all the registered hockey players. So I think, focusing on being a professional hockey player is not really smart.
Right. Oh, yeah. I could see that. Yeah.
Just going with the flow, essentially,
Yeah, just
whatever.
making it fun and just actually making the development a key thing later on.
Exactly. Like
and
having fun and just, like focusing on, I'm right now playing for, let's say, Littleton, and I want to be the best in this team, and everything else will happen.
Yeah.
Yep. And then, Jan, I had a question for you. So when you started out at a young age, did you just start playing for a club where you lived, or was it more like a hockey school? A lot of, for example, in Latvia, there's a tons of hockey schools, literally where you have an ice rink inside of the school. You go do your math, all that, and then you go straight to the ice, or 3 times. Was it a program like that, or was it a little different in Czech?
Kind of very similar. I think in Czech, till end of 3rd grade, this is just a club. And then starting 4th grade, there was more hockey school. And it doesn't mean we were studying at the rink. We still go to regular school, but there was one class specifically built for hockey players. And the only difference basically was instead of having physical preparation, we, instead of going to the gym, we go on the ice. So let's say once or twice a week, our school, regular school started at 8 a.m. Our school class started at 9 because we had 7:30 till 8:30 practice, and then we walk together to the school, and start school 1 hour later.
Very cool. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So, who do you think your biggest influences were back then? I mean, who would you watch and say, "Wow, I really like that guy's game"? You know, just anybody that stands out that you're like, I like that guy.
It was changing a little bit over the time. When I was little, I always look up to Alf Samuelsson.
Yeah.
He was a good defenseman, and then when I started playing professionally, there was like more the players I play against, or I play with, let's say in the national team, and I saw how they really were professionals and how they work out and what they did to be successful. And so one of the guy I just come to my mind is like Jaromír Jágr, which I play few world championships with him.
The
and,
ageless man.
and he's like a different person.
Oh, he's a beast. It seems like.
Yeah,
You guys still keep in touch till this day, or?
a little bit. He's now owner of the one club in Czech Republic, so it's more business kind of staying in touch, because one of my players is playing for his club. I represent that player, so he's playing for his club. But I do keep in touch with a lot of players.
Very cool.
Nice.
Did you ever try to recreate his famous mullet anytime? Like, you ever try to grow that out or what?
No,
No, the man, it's just him, huh?
Yeah, it was more about seeing him, how he prepared for the games, and basically, I don't know, probably most of the people knows about it, but he give everything to hockey. He doesn't have wife, he doesn't have kids, he doesn't have family. He's just like all about hockey, and the reason probably why is because nobody can keep up with him.
Yeah.
Like, he's kind of famous that he's not afraid to skate at 2 a.m. That's his thing. Like, I know he's by himself at the rink at 2 a.m. and skating.
Oh yeah.
That's insane.
Well, I mean, there's always people saying that like he's got the keys to the practice facility, so he'll just pop in whenever he wants.
Yep.
That's I mean, that's a perfect person to emulate. Anyways, go on. Easy for me to say, eh? So so going through, let's fast forward ahead into your Czech WJC days. How was that like? Just playing for your country in the junior championships and stuff like that. How'd that come about, and what do you think you learned from it?
So for us European players, it's a way bigger deal than probably for Americans or Canadians. It's probably the top you can do, represent your country in a world championship. I play my first one when I still was playing in the Czech league, and I was very excited. Didn't have too much experience yet. I think I was 22 or 23, and I had a great season in Czech, and my coach, who coached me in the club, was also a national team coach.
Oh, that's awesome.
So he brought me there, and that was great. Later on, when I play in Russia and I play in NHL, that wasn't that big deal, because if you ask me if I would trade my I believe I play 6 world championships, and just to have one Stanley Cup finals, I would probably choose Stanley Cup finals.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because that's the most. Obviously, Olympic Games are way higher than any world championships. Like, that's a different experience.
Well, yeah, I would assume. I mean, what'd you learn? I mean, do you think you maybe grew a little bit more as a hockey player, or was it just being in the moment, just like loving that you're playing for your country?
I think it's more about playing for a country. You're not learning. It's a short tournament.
Yeah.
You're playing with the top players, but it's still, not too much learning. It's just representing.
Oh, absolutely. Just wearing the colors and all that. I understand that. So let's talk about when you got drafted. Where were you and what happened there? I know you got drafted by the Buffalo Sabres.
Yes. Again, like I was talking about, I wasn't really focused on playing in NHL. It just when I was 18, and on that time there was a different system on drafts because somebody had to sign you up for draft. It wasn't like now.
Oh, they had to sign you up for the draft.
Yes, that wasn't like now when scouts just choose you without any notice or heads up. You had to be signed for draft.
Okay.
And my agent, who represented me back then, didn't sign me up because he just forget or he thought I'm younger. So I wasn't drafted when I was 18, and then I had a good few years in Czech League, and that was about the time when players started going to Russia. The Russian league started kind of picking up on their quality, and also honestly they pay better money.
Oh yeah.
Not the same money like they do now in KHL, but it was still way better than in Czech Republic.
Right.
And they contact me or they contact my club where I play, Slavia Praha, and coach is like, it's gonna be good for you if you go to Russia for a couple of years, and then they will come back and you will be, you can finish your career in Czech. You will be the superstar here.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I did again sign for I did sign for 2 years in CSK Moscow, and it was okay. Good club. I had a chance to be coached by Viktor Tikhonov, which was the the legend.
Really cool.
And then after 2 seasons, another team from Russia offered me contract. I decided to stay there, and after 3 years, I was ready to go back to Czech or something.
Yeah.
Frank Musil, who was scout for Edmonton Oilers, contacted me. He said, listen, you are probably the best defenseman in Europe who never try play in NHL. Do you want to try? And I said, yeah. Like I thought about it a little bit. I was like, at least I will have some stories to tell to my grandchild if I tried, and if I don't, I probably gonna we decided to try.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, why not give it a shot? I mean,
Yeah.
it's the NHL. Give it a shot. I mean, that's that's actually where you scored your first goal in Edmonton, right?
Yeah. I scored against LA Kings.
Right, and
in overtime. I think.
That's a beauty overtime. That's a beauty
Great.
first goal right there. You guys are quite silent. Let's get
you're
some.
just firing off the questions
Well,
left and right.
let's-
But I mean,
Let's
what-
get some questions from the peanut
I
gallery.
mean,
Jeez.
how did you feel when you got drafted by the Sabres? I mean, I know that Hasek and all those guys have played for it. It's not like as storied of a franchise as like Edmonton. Like, how did you feel when you got drafted compared to, I guess, when you got moved to Edmonton? You're playing for a franchise where you've got Gretzky and all those guys that played and wore that same crest on their sweater,
Yeah, I got drafted when I was in Russia. I remember that I didn't know I will be drafted. That happened, and again, like I said before, everything is happening to me.
Yeah.
Everything was happening to me.
It's just one minute at a time.
So I think my agent called me that I was drafted, and Sabres manager wanted to talk to me, and he invited me to come over for a tryout or for a camp. But in that time, I was under contract with the Russian team.
Okay.
And he was very honest, which I appreciate, because he said, listen, we drafted you. You are a good player, but we just lost in the Stanley Cup Finals, and we're not gonna change our team. We feel good with what we have, and you're gonna spend most likely season in the minors, and I decided to stay in Russia, and that time,
you're getting the money, and also you're able to get the ice time too. Mainly, I mean.
Yeah, exactly. And then, after, like I said, after 3 years, Frank Musil contacted me, and he said, like, we want you here. If you say you wanna try, we will trade your rights with Sabres. So it wasn't like Sabres trade me with Edmonton. Edmonton request my rights from Sabres.
Wow, that's really cool to have a franchise like that actually want you to be on their back line, just to be on that defense. That's really cool. But how was it playing for like an actual club like Edmonton? As I said, you've got Messier, you've got Curry, you've got all those storied players just playing for that franchise. That had to be pretty cool.
That was definitely every hockey player in Edmonton is like a god.
Oh yeah.
Like everybody, even guy from Fort Line or guy who play in the minor league, that's and have few games in Oilers, is known there.
Yeah.
Like it's totally different. It's a different than when I play in Columbus later or Avalanche.
Yeah, because they're just all over you. They just, as you said, you're treated like a god.
Just getting the 5-star treatment, really.
Oh, yeah. All the way
Every
around.
time we go to the bar, I never pay.
Oh, that's got to be nice.
I wish that was the case for me.
Yeah, I mean.
What are you talking about? Every time I go to Bender's, I get a 3% discount on my beer.
Oh, good for you, bud.
Oh, thank you.
Beer league
I
hockey,
pay
guys.
full
Oh, that's
price.
right.
I pay full price. All right.
It wasn't just I didn't pay. I was allowed to go behind the bar and just grab whatever I want.
So you got Janni back there, just like, oh, you want a drink? You want a drink? I'm playing cocktail tonight.
He's like the Oprah Winfrey of drinks at that time.
You get a drink. You get a drink.
That's funny.
Oh, that's great, man. Well, Keith, what do you got, man? I don't know. I know you're just sitting over there on a bunch of questions.
You guys jumped straight into the NHL. I had a little interest with like the Russian league.
Well, bring
and
it
stuff.
back. Bring it back.
Yeah, you
So-
ask whatever you want.
So when you played in Russia, I was gonna see how did you like it? What was the difference between playing in Russia as opposed to Czech? And then I guess like in the locker rooms, like how'd you guys? Was it a lot of English, or you had to learn some Russian? How did that all work out for you?
Yeah, so I think first of all I have to mention that historically I think Russia or Russian coaches and people around the hockey in Russia always think highly about the Czech players. I think it came from back in communism when all those games against the Russian national team or Soviet Union national team and Czech team were always like really tight and at a high level. So that was good for me. Obviously, they always like Czech players in Russia. Playing in Russia, like hockey is very similar everywhere, and hockey players too. Good people, no problem in the locker room or anything like that. It's played on Olympic size ice, so the hockey system is a little bit different. But since I played in Czech Republic before, there was no adjustment for me. Playing under Viktor Tikhonov, when I thought I was more offensive defenseman, especially after my last season in Czech and unbelievable playoff. When I watch that games back now, like was like what I was doing. We won the cup in Czech Republic, and I had like 17 games and 13 points as a defenseman,
Wow.
which put
Huge.
me, I believe, like I think I'd end up third highest points of all players in that playoff series, and I tried to play the same way in Czech in Russia, and first time when I crossed the blue line, offensive blue line, Viktor started yelling on me like, "What are you doing? You're a defenseman. You stay back."
Yeah.
So there was adjustment there, but like I said, hockey players same, was very similar and same, all good people. The only problem in Russia is living there. I think the Russian people were, at least, I don't know if still they are, but they were screwed up with that communism, and they are very selfish. So you cannot expect any you cannot expect any help from anybody else. Like, this is, you are on your own when you live in Russia. There is no help.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
And to your question about language, there was no English, zero. And I
was gonna say,
And
yeah.
honestly, I didn't speak English back then. I very little, but I speak very little Russian, which I thought it's gonna be easier when I get there. But Russians are also, they don't want to understand you when you don't speak in Russian. They're not helping.
Yep.
So I had to learn Russian, and I speak Russian now. Yeah.
So you're fluent in Russian.
Yes, I am.
Say something.
Oh no! Calling him out. Wow, calling him
gotta
out.
hear it.
Dang.
What do you want me to say?
Oh yeah.
Like, how's it going?
Как дела?
Как дела? Нормально. Спасибо.
Oh, there you go.
Не за что.
Wow, Keats. Wow.
That's
Just
about
calling
how
him
much
out
I know
right there.
Russian. Well, because we had to know a little Russian too. There's Latvia has a pretty big Russian community as
Right.
well, and it's I guess if to compare it here, it's kind of like Spanish in a way. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of people speak Spanish here because of a big Spanish community. Same over there. So
I wasn't great student. I wasn't bad, but great student at school, and I had about 6 months before a revolution in Czech Republic. I learned Russian about 6 months, and then I learned a little bit German, which I don't remember anything, for about 6 months, and then I started English. But I wasn't really talented for like learning another languages, and hockey just taught me everything.
yeah, no, absolutely. Just being around, I guess, just people.
Well, hockey's really the language you only needed to know, really.
Yeah, I swear, if somebody told me like you're gonna be speaking 3 languages fluently when I was 13, I would be probably laughing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, fat chance that's gonna happen.
But that's so common, now looking back too. I mean, some of these newer players, like, for example, Elvis Merzlikins plays in Columbus right now. He knows like 4 or 5 languages. It's like Russian, English, Swiss, Latvian. I mean, and that's all just because of hockey as well.
But I call this locker room language, which is sometimes can be difficult.
So like slang, essentially,
when
right?
you go to the bank and ask for F checks.
I hear you.
Yeah, like, can I get some fucking checks?
Yeah.
Pardon me?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Checks, please. Just checks, please.
Мне надо деньги.
Давай, блядь.
Давай, блядь. Exactly. Сука.
Oh, buddy. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, when you actually finally did come over to the NHL, how was that, like, actually playing for, because you only played a couple games for Edmonton. When you actually really started playing for Columbus, how was that?
Difficult. Because I was older. I think I was 27, and I already played a few world championships, and we won a gold and silver medal, and I won the Czech league, and then I came over after 3 years in Russia, and I was nobody, because for Canadians, especially for Canadians, if you didn't play in NHL or in Canada, then you didn't play.
Yeah. Oh, that's
True.
And I'm pretty sure that's still true today.
Yeah.
Probably.
So basically, I start from nothing, and that wasn't easy. I was healthy scratch a lot. They never really sent me to minor league, but I was healthy scratch, which means I worked twice as hard than the players who played.
Yeah.
All the back skate, every practice and everything. So I was probably in the best shape in my life. And I was watching those guys, and with all the respect, I was like, I can definitely do better than this.
Yeah.
Like I can play better than the other players who are playing. But I think they feel like I wasn't ready, and I probably wasn't, because I didn't play NHL. I didn't have experience.
Especially on the smaller rinks and stuff too.
Yeah. So since start of the season till basically end of December, I play 6 games.
Okay.
And this is the funny story that like you was asking about.
Oh, lovely. Oh, here we go.
And everybody loved this story. Me, guy without experience, coming from Europe, I didn't know how that all works. So I was with the team. I fly with the team on a game, but I just didn't play. So I remember one of the trip back from the game. I don't know from which city, back to Edmonton. I was called up by coaches in the plane. I was like, "Hey, come here. We need to talk to you." That was before Christmas, about 2 weeks before Christmas. So beginning of December, and they were like, we feel like you should be playing, and you're not playing here, but you need that game practice. So we're gonna send you to minor league Hamilton for 2 weeks. And I was like, this is not good. I want to be here. Like,
Right.
No, but you need to play. So I came home. I talked to my wife. It's like, listen, like I didn't need this. I did play a lot of hockey. Now they sending me down to minor league.
Yeah.
They said for 2 weeks, but they said you will come back for Christmas. And so and I was like, what if you go back to Europe? And she said, I remember that she said, just go there for 2 weeks. You're gonna spend Christmas in Canada and then New Year, and then we'll see. So I fly to Hamilton. Honestly, I don't remember too much from that time. There was some other Russian players I know from before, and we had a couple of vodkas and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
But I played pretty good there. I picked up a few points there, and I was really plus minus guy there a lot I played there for about 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks and no phone calls, But I didn't know how that works. So I grabbed my phone and I called the guy who was in charge of flight tickets.
Yeah.
I was like, listen, they said 2 weeks, so it's 2 weeks, so send me a flight tickets. I'm flying back to Edmonton. And he was like, okay. So he sent me a flight tickets. I show up in the locker room next day, walk to the coach's room, and it's like, hey, I'm back. And they were shocked. Like, I call myself up. And
Oh my god.
and they were like, oh, nice to see you again.
I'm calling the shots now.
So every hockey player I told this story, they
Yeah.
love it. Like this is like self call up.
Yeah.
I didn't play for one more game, and then somebody else get hurt, and I started playing with Jason Smith, who was a captain of the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah.
And since that, I play against top lines for the rest of my career.
Balls of steel. Balls of steel. The self call up.
When you
Self call up and then they just toss you to the Lions after
Nope.
that. I'm kidding.
Not too many people know about that, but this is my story.
Oh, that's incredible.
How
Oh.
to make NHL.
there you go.
Just listen to that, boys. Anybody playing down in the
No, I was gonna say
AHL,
that-
just call yourself up and you'll get top line minutes. That's awesome.
So they said 2 weeks, so I was counting with 2 weeks. Like I trust them.
He walks in like,
I
sup,
mean,
put me in, coach.
That's me. Yeah,
That is the European mentality. It's like, if you tell me 2 weeks, 2 weeks.
It's
Yeah,
2
you
weeks
would
and
know.
nothing less, nothing
Exactly.
more. Yeah,
Exactly.
that's amazing. The self call up. Keep that one in the back pocket, all you players out there. Oh,
That's
wow.
hilarious. That's good stuff,
Oh,
man.
jeez. I think I should have tried that a long time ago.
That's so funny. So then you end up in Columbus,
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
So-
I had my entry-level contract for 1 year with Edmonton,
Okay.
and Scott Howson was assistant general manager in Edmonton. And after season, he signed as a general manager of Columbus Blue Jackets. And I was in Czech Republic after season, and he called me. He's like, "Listen, I'm offering you this contract, and you have 20 minutes to decide." Later on, I figure out that he knew that Oilers gonna send me the same offer, and he just wanted me in Columbus. So he gave me 20 minutes. I took probably 40 to 60 minutes to call him back, but I signed with Blue Jackets because he knew me, he knew what I can do, and he was first who offered.
Oh yeah, might as well jump on it when you can.
Absolutely.
Espe-
And
Oh,
sorry, man. And what I was gonna ask. So going from Edmonton to Columbus in Ohio, was that a bit of a culture shock, or was it a pretty easy transition for you?
I have to say that Blue Jackets organization is doing a great job to treat players right way. That was good. Only, problem is Buckeye was the bigger deal in Ohio, in Columbus. So Blue Jackets, that was first. When I played there, was a first year. I think it was our 10th season of Blue Jacket organization. That was the first time when they make a playoff. So that team was sucked. That wasn't good.
Yeah.
So I understand why people pay attention more to Buckeyes. I think it's changed a lot now. That organization is doing great.
They've gained a lot of traction.
Yeah,
Like,
and
a
I
lot
wish
of-
best for them because, like I said, they treat players great way. It's just Edmonton was different. Everybody know hockey players. You are almost nobody in Columbus.
Gotcha.
I mean, could you? I mean, obviously, yeah, going out like everybody's. Did it take a little bit of the pressure off, like just playing, knowing that, like maybe it's just
you weren't underneath like a microscope all the time.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, that was good for me. I'm always I always try to be a low profile guy. I never use my playing in NHL for my profit. Never ask for anything. So I was okay. Maybe for somebody who wants to be famous,
like
it's
Patrick
not-
Kane.
yeah, it's not probably right fit, but that was good fit for me. Safe for family.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, how was it like? Well, you went from Columbus to Colorado. How was it like playing with like Eric Johnson once the Avs picked him up? And because I know that you guys were line mates and just playing for the Avs organization at that time.
In the beginning, Eric was a more offensive guy, and I had to learn and adjust how to play with Eric Johnson. I think he's playing way better hockey now because he's more defensive too. He's killing in penalties, but back then when he was young, I think he was more pushed by people to be more like offensive defenseman.
Yeah, kind of like a shoot from the hip kind of guy. Whenever he could get the puck, just try to activate to where you'd be like the stay-at-home defenseman, as I would call it, where you just kind of stay within that blue line kind of area and just make sure that.
Yeah, my job basically was every time Eric grabbed the puck and started skating, I count with the worst scenario, so I always stay back.
Jan, just stay back and deal with the odd man rushes.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
EJ gets caught back in the ozone.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, thanks.
I never know what's coming, honestly. I like Eric a lot. Like, one of that sounds like he's not a good hockey. He's a great hockey player, but he's not. He never was. He never was like the guy who's gonna score 40, 50 points. But he was pushed to be that guy.
Right.
And I think he's also more comfortable with the game he's playing right now.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think that might have actually did a lot, actually put a lot on him just for his psyche, because now you really don't see him doing that anymore.
No.
And
Yeah.
I mean, I would agree with you. I think he is a little bit better as like because he's basically playing your role with I mean like Sam Gerard now.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that-
I'm glad that he learned from me.
So you're saying he took a few notes
Yeah.
then?
Hopefully.
You hope.
Yanni's passing down hockey knowledge to little EJ.
No,
Now he can spread it.
he's still more offensive than I was, or more skill. Let's put it this way, more skill. But yeah, I mean, you know, when I play with him and he grabbed the puck, I was like, oh
Shit.
shit, I'm staying back.
What's gonna happen now, right? So I mean, with your tenure in Colorado, I mean, you saw a lot of talent. Who do you think you're like? I heard EJ's actually a pretty goofy guy. Who do you think was the locker room jokester? I mean, throughout your entire career, who was the one that was just cracking wise and just like playing pranks on the guys?
That's definitely EJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Cody McLeod too, but you know, being a redhead, his level of pain is lower. So
Oh my god.
every time you messed up with Cody McLeod, that hurt. You know, like
Yeah.
yeah. So just for fun, he like slash you over the fingers or something like that.
Oh.
I like him a lot, but it wasn't very comfortable to, you know, joke around with him.
Oh, yeah. Like I think I'm I'm feeling sorry from the game last night. I think I'm gonna stay away from Cody for a bit.
Yep.
Yeah. You can see it. Like I mean, EJ. I mean, he does those dances in behind the interviews now, and I can see him being a pretty goofy guy.
Yeah, but I was too. I think, you know, a lot of reporters remember me and forever probably, you know, falling a pants down when they were doing an interview.
Oh,
they do remember that.
That's some good stuff.
Who'd you pants? I want to know.
I don't know.
Too many to count.
Too many.
Too many to count. Oh my gosh.
Too much for one hand.
Now, how about some weird locker room rituals before games? Any of that going on in those Avalanche locker rooms in your days?
No, I think every single player have something, same as I had.
What'd you have?
Just watch the warm up, you will find out.
Oh, okay.
The video footage tells it all.
Yeah, one of my thing was when I jump on the ice, before a warm up, I always smash the pucks on the ice, and I did those laps, and I tried to shoot 3 pucks to opposite net, to other side. And when I hit all 3, I was like, this is going to be a good game.
Oh, nice. Very nice. Yeah.
And then when I didn't hit any, I tried one more. I was like, that's going to be a bad game. I didn't score. But then I was thinking, like, I'm probably going to get in fight to do that. Because sometimes when I didn't hit those 3, I try to shoot more. But the other team was already on the ice, and the goalie was stretching in the net, and I keep shooting there. And I was like, I'm probably going to get in fight.
Yeah, the other team's like, this prick, what is he doing
And
over
I
here?
never did, actually. Nobody said anything.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
was
Just
probably-
sneaking away with it. That's pretty sweet.
Just coming from left field at like Luongo or something like that, you know?
That's hilarious.
So I got to ask, I mean, obviously you played in many buildings. What do you think your favorite building to play in was?
Building.
Arena.
Arena,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I know. I like Minnesota. I like Ohio, the Blue Jackets.
Yeah.
Arenas.
Arenas.
Yeah,
I mean, even back in the Czech League.
if you ask me which ring I hate, that was definitely Madison Square Garden.
Really?
Yeah, and especially before they rebuild it a little bit or renew it, but before that there was such a weird lighting there. It was like yellow, and I had a It was different than any other arena. So, and I still didn't like it. When you get there, you walk up. It's all dirty. It's an old building.
Yeah.
And so that's arenas. I always like to play in. Before I play for Avalanche, I always like to play in Denver. That's the other reason why I signed here.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
I love Colorado. When I had another offer from Washington, and I told my agent, because I know he was talking with Avalanche. So I was like, "What happened with Avalanche?" And he called. Who was the GM?
It was Greg Sherman, wasn't
He
it?
called Greg Sherman, and they basically match, or they even offer me a little bit more than Capitals, but I was like, just say yes. Like he had both teams in the same time on the phone. I was like, yeah, I want to play in Colorado. Just say yes.
Oh yeah.
But when I play here, I always like to go to play in San Jose. That's just the city, and better. Everything was.
It's a little like the in the SAP Center. It's a little more on top of each other. It's like you can feel the crowd on top of you.
Yeah, the rink wasn't my favorite, but I mean everything else.
Oh yeah, just being in San Jose and stuff like that. Yeah, nice. So we know, but maybe the listeners may not know. Like you're actually part of Dog Nation now, Dog Nation Hockey Foundation, and we just interviewed Marty last week. So this is a great segue. So you're on the board now, and you actually got to play a lot with Grayson Cameron. And just the news with him coming out for going to Northland. Apparently, you got to play with him in his first game back. Tell me what that was like. I mean, just for a kid to go that bad and like just see him back on the ice. I mean,
yeah, we were all excited for him, obviously. But he's the same guy like every other hockey player, and if you didn't know his story, you would not recognize. There is something different or something special. Obviously, coming back from what happened is unbelievable, and we are all happy that he was able to do that. Like it's great story. It's good for him. First of all, it's awesome.
yeah. And how do you get hooked up with Dog Nation in the first place? I mean,
because Marty knows everybody.
that is true.
Word on the street is.
And I know Marty from my last few years of playing, and but when you're a hockey player, I told Marty a couple of times, when you're a hockey player, you're living in a bubble, and the bubble is built by people around you. They don't want you to. I think they mean that in the right way, because they're trying to protect you. There is a lot of weirdos in the world.
That's the truth.
But at the same time, you're not getting the same informations when you hockey play. When you're in the bubble, you're not getting the same informations. It's very rare. So after I retire, I start talking with Marty more, and I'm very excited and super happy to help with everything he needs.
And you're on the board now, right? With fellow countryman Hejda.
Yeah.
So what are your responsibilities, or what do you like? What's your favorite part about being on the board at Dog Nation and all that?
To be involved,
Yeah.
Be part of it, and for me, it's more about. I'm not looking for some position to decide about something.
Right.
I'm just more about trying to help as much as possible with my connections and help people who need help, and because I didn't when I was playing that much. Even I sometimes I donate money here and there, but my feeling when I was playing is like and this is my favorite part to help now. It's like when I play, I always thought like, somebody need help, but how much he needs? 60 grand, 100 grand,
Right.
and then later on, I find out that a couple $1,000 make big guys cry, and it's huge, And I swear I never thought that when I was playing.
Yeah, and I mean, well, you're so wrapped up in playing and just like getting by and stuff. I mean, just a simple hello or like a shout out to people like makes all the difference. I can tell you that from my standpoint, and like the fact that you've decided to come on, and I mean, yeah, just the way you said, like I'm not looking for any medal or anything. Everybody just appreciates that so much. It's great.
Yeah, I wish hockey players now are more involved in the stuff like that, because it's really about it doesn't worth any, like it doesn't cost anything for players. Like it's about like you said, just stop by and say hi or whatever, and there's so much options for those hockey players now, but I am afraid that they are not getting right informations.
Right, absolutely. And what else, boys? What do you guys want to like pick?
One question I had for you, and besides, I mean, we've covered a lot of hockey and all that. Obviously, I think as we're little kids and stuff, we always have something that we aspire to be when we grow up. So, say if hockey ended up not working out for you when you were, little growing up, was there something that you wanted to become if hockey wasn't gonna work?
You mean like every kid wants to be an astronaut or something? Like
Yeah,
that?
exactly. Yeah. When you become old or a grown up, did you aspire to be someone as you were little?
Probably not. When I was very little, probably not. I always, I play hockey and I play every other sport, so I always dream about being an athlete or not that much just a hockey player, but anything.
Mm.
When I was a little bit older, in my teenage age, my father owns the restaurant, and I always kind of like thought that I will be the next owner when he cannot do it anymore.
Okay.
But since he's only 19 years older than me, so I don't know if that's ever gonna happen.
You'll follow closely after him, right?
We were more friends. Like we went to a lot of parties together.
Just buddies. Just like, hey Papa, are we going to hit up that party tonight, or like what's going on here?
But in the same time, I have to say, he was very strict, and I have to thank him for where I'm right now or where I was when I played, because I think in every kid, or most of the kids in the age of 17, 18, 19, they have different stuff to do than just focus on hockey.
Yeah.
And prepare for practice or game. And I was same,
Yeah.
I had a lot of friends who go out and drink and even use some drugs. And my father always told me, like, I don't care what you do, but make sure you are on the practice in the morning and you are preparing for a game.
Oh yeah.
And I wasn't. He was strict enough, and he had enough respect that I was never late. I was. When I go on a party, I never stay late. I always go home and prepare. And even I think if I didn't show up at school, I had less trouble than if I didn't show up on practice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
He just held you to a certain standard, and you just couldn't push the envelope at all. Basically, you had wiggle room, but you didn't want to test it. Basically, just out of respect, and that's kind of cool. I mean,
on the end of the day, a lot of my friends play hockey with me back then.
Yeah,
and they never play when they were older than 20, 25. So the places they go and party, in the bars.
Yeah.
Later on, they work there, and
Yeah.
I was able to go there as a hockey player.
Oh yeah.
So that was worth it.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
That's
I would hope so. I mean, God.
that's interesting that you say that too, because I similar upbringing for me too. I can't say I ever had like much of a curfew or anything when I was little or younger, but my dad, same thing. Make sure you're on time on your practices. Make sure you're on time on school. You don't have to get straight A's in school, but you better make sure you pass every grade. Uh, and then I don't know, in Czech, you guys didn't have like A's, B's. It was numbers, right?
Yeah, like
8.
One was the best and 5 was the worst.
Oh, okay. So in Latvia, it was like backwards. So like, if you got like a 1 or 2, it's like I'm gonna get my ass beat at home.
Yeah.
Like 8 was
First
I think
is the worst.
8 was the best you could get, and every now and then you could get like a 10, but that's like
No, we had
astronaut grades. Yeah.
we had only one as the best, or sometimes 1 and star, which was the best.
Yeah.
1 and star,
It's like an A++ or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
and then 5 was the worst. So you don't really have 5.
Well, very cool, man.
So, one last thing. So, Marty told me that you were actually very
Into the
peculiar.
Backstreet Boys. I'm kidding.
Oh
I'm
my
kidding.
god! apparently, that's Cody McLeod. Anyways,
He went-
you were very peculiar about your hockey sticks. Can you allude to that?
Actually, with the hockey stick, I was really bad. Yeah, like probably the worst. I know some players using a sticks for maybe one game or even one period, like Nathan McKinnon,
Yeah,
and I was even pushed by equipment guys to change my stick because my stick wasn't broken, so I keep practicing with that stick. I was just lazy to tape it or something like that.
yeah. Like, don't give me a new one. I need to tape it. It's
Yeah.
gonna be ridiculous.
So
Just
I
let
did-
me use this one.
I did use every game. I had one new stick at least as a backup.
Right.
But at the family sport when we practice,
Yeah.
my stick rack looked like this guy is probably a beer league guy or something. I wasn't even taping those things. Like, this is good for practice. It's just good enough.
And you were pretty specific about like the kind of stick you were using. I heard you've only used like 1 or 2 different kind of sticks throughout.
Yeah. When I was in Russia, I used Easton sticks because I don't know. There wasn't that whole thing stick yet. There
Yeah.
was like blade and
Oh,
shaft.
you,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
used what I learned
You-
playing on and everything.
You get the heat
two-piecers.
gunning.
Yeah, and melt that glue.
You got 4 blades in your hockey bag just to replace them on the bench if you need to.
Yeah. And in my NHL career, I use only basically CCM, which in one point of the time was Reebok.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
There was some changing in the companies. Like
Oh yeah, Reebok buying out like 1 million hockey companies.
that was actually weird because there was when I started playing for Oilers, there was CCM, and then I think Reebok bought CCM and started switching everything to Reebok, which was so expensive. Like, imagine like not just sticks but skates, gloves, everything.
Oh yeah,
They get rid of those 3 letters and put the Reebok logo there.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
And
They can charge
shorts
$100
and
more.
shirts and everything. And I think somehow it didn't work. So 2 years later, the Reebok started switching back to CCM. So they waste so much money on that. But I stick with basically CCM all the time.
Yeah.
I never switch to something else.
When you got your brand, you got your brand, man.
I think so.
I mean,
Absolutely.
we're not spotting anybody. No Reebok, no CCM, but
No.
no. But I like, yeah. Look at where Reebok is now.
Yeah, they went.
I
But-
I feel like I'm the guy who doesn't like anything new. I'm just trying to stick with the stuff I know. I
Yeah.
don't like changes.
That's how I was. Anytime like I loved the more broken in stuff. Like I loved like the sweat that actually accumulated in the gloves. that just made everything so loose. It was just perfect to
That-
just like hop back on the ice.
That's the first thing I always do when my gear was all dried out. I fill my water bottle and I just dump a bunch of water in that glove.
See,
to
I
just make it all, you know.
I just
Oh.
never.
And then your
All
arm,
pliable
then your
and
hand
stuff.
stinks for like 2 weeks.
I just never
Your
dried my
hockey
stuff
bag.
out.
Yeah, your
That's,
hockey bag
that's,
smells.
that's maybe more. I was maybe more picky with the gloves because I hate new gloves probably more than new skates.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just ask equipment manager if he's got some like used gloves. Like I hate breaking in the new gloves.
Can you go to
Oh,
the Play It
great.
Again Sports and get me an old pair of gloves? I
Yeah.
mean,
Exactly.
No, I feel you. That was the same with me, man. Anytime I had to break in new gloves, I'd wear them around the house and like desperately try to break these things in so it wasn't just gnarly, stiff leather.
it's like
Yeah.
breaking in a baseball glove or something.
New
like that.
new gear's the absolute worst. Like I mean,
Well,
I,
you're
I,
a goalie, so
well, I told you guys, yeah, Santa brought me new goalie pads,
Uh-huh.
and
Looks like Artur Zerbe
Freak-
out there.
Corona freaking is not letting me break them in, but I was super excited. I was like, oh man, this is awesome. And then, like I got on, and it's just like I'm just getting lit up, you know.
You just have to put them on and walk everywhere. Like go to the
I-
grocery store.
Well,
with a full gear.
I literally I would you know, like bend them all together, and I would sit on them and freaking play video games in my living room
Yeah.
while I'm using the pad as like a chair. But yeah, man, I haven't had new goalie pads in so long, and it's like I almost forgot how much it sucks to break
Yeah.
new stuff
no,
in.
I feel you, Jan, because last time when I finally got back to hockey after a little bit of a hiatus, I had to get new gears, and I was walking around my apartment just like full hockey garb, even skates and everything, just walking around, just doing my dailies. It's just like,
Look like a Star Wars character
well,
or
no,
something.
I'm just walking around, you know, new skates. I got new gloves, you know, just like trying out my new visor, which I couldn't play in a visor. Those things were so confusing. But yeah, I'm just walking around the apartment, just like, oh yeah, just ready to get back on the ice here.
That was like my son, but he was 4.
Oh my God! So yeah, well, I was 20, and so.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, there you go. Like I'm the same as a 4 and a 20-year-old, and you know what? Damn it, I'm proud of it.
I know that because I took a picture. He was in my house basement, full dressed up in the hockey gear and just watch television.
be like the kid that stood behind Kippersoff when Kippersoff would do his warm-ups and stuff, and he'd be doing the same maneuvers and everything.
He was crazy. Like when he was, I think probably in not even a first grade, but probably 5-6 years old. That he was definitely younger than 6 because there was the reason why I put him playing hockey. He couldn't wait anymore, and I was trying to keep him away from hockeying as kind of like not long as possible, but you know it's not good for kids to skate when they are like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
They can wait. So every time I get home, obviously after practice or game, I had to play hockey again. And I was so tired mentally because, you know, this is what I was doing whole morning every day.
Yeah.
And so we play hockey on the street, we play knee hockey in the basement, we play all the stuff. And then I remember one morning when he was probably like just turned 5. And I was all dressed up, and every time I was in my suit, he recognized that I'm going on a morning skate and then leaving, flying to play somewhere. And he walked down from his room, and I was eating breakfast, and he was like, "Hey, Dad, where are you going?" And I was like, "I'm going to Detroit. We're playing the Red Wings." Oh, that's gonna be okay. They are suck. And I was like, back then the Detroit was a pretty good team, and I was like, oh man, like I don't think they are suck. They are pretty good. And he was like, no, they lost against Columbus last night. I was like, first thing in the morning, as a 5-year-old kid, check not how Avalanche are playing, because the father is playing for Avalanche. He checked all the scores in every game for last night, and he know that Columbus Blue Jackets were sucked,
Yeah.
and they beat Detroit the night before. So since we going to Detroit, we probably gonna win that game. And he was fired. I was like, this is time to put him on the ice.
Yeah. He's listening to like the Ray and Dregs like prospect report and stuff like that. He's
That's awesome.
That's awesome, man.
That was a decision point when I was like, this is time to put him on
Kid
the
needs to
skates.
play hockey.
Yeah. That's amazing.
That's incredible, man. Well, hey, you guys got anything else you want to?
I mean, I don't know what kind of led you to pick the number 8 when you came to Avs, and correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't you wear 4 when you were a rookie with Edmonton, or
No, I wear 25.
25? That's what it was. Yeah.
I wear 25, and
Is it just any significance? I guess is
in Czech Republic, I was 35.
Okay.
Which everybody's saying this is a goalie's number, but it was my lucky number. And I play with 35 in my Slavia Praha team, and then in the national team, and then I think 35 already were somebody, probably goalie in Edmonton,
Yeah.
and so they gave me 25, and then when I signed with Blue Jackets, they just give me number 8. Which I wear for 2 years
Yeah.
Yeah.
or 3 years. And then I was like, what if I go back to my old number 35? And they gave me 35 back, which, people from the fan store is like, this is the best thing you can do. Like, everybody start buying your jerseys over because you changed the number. So do that every season.
So they keep buying your jersey.
But and then some players was like, why are you wearing 35? This is a goalie's number. And our goalie, Steve Mason, was an unbelievable rookie of the year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But then he come back after his first year. After summer, he come back like overweight, and he was really bad.
Yep. Yeah.
His second season was bad. And then, so people asking me like, why are you wearing 35? This is a goalie's number. And I was like, oh, probably because I have more block shots than goalie saves.
There you go. That's the best answer you could have had, man.
Oh, beauty. Oh my God, what a chirp. That's
Shots
beautiful.
fired
Oh.
all the
Well,
way.
no, that's awesome, bud.
Yeah, and then I signed with Avalanche, and they gave me back my number 8, which this is the only real number 8, just to make sure everybody know that, because then there is one guy, Marty Richardson, who's trying to be number 8, but the real one is
Yeah, he's
the real one is
Trying to blow
number
up your
8.
spot. Yeah.
that's fake
Oh.
news or
And,
something.
and here I thought you were a big fan of Sandis Ozolin.
Yeah.
Come
Oh,
on.
Chirp's
One of
fired.
the best defenses.
Chirp's fired.
Oh.
We always fight about number 8 with Marty, and I don't know, sometimes I let him use it.
Sometimes
It's well, I mean,
the godfather of the 8 has to give the dogfather permission. I'm kidding.
Yeah, what's up with that, Marty? That number should be claimed in the Dog Nation, right? Come on.
It should be retired up in the office
You'll
wall.
be hung up at the rafters at that new rink, man.
I always watch his warm up, and when he looks good, then I let him use it.
oh yeah. So it's. Oh, that's beautiful.
You get this jersey today, Cappy.
Like you said earlier, Jan, if Marty doesn't fall the whole hour of skating, he gets number 8 for today.
Like honestly, what else I should be wearing? Like,
Yeah, well, totally. I mean, oh wow. Well, Jan, thank you so much for doing this, man. Like, it's been a fucking gas, and I think we learned a lot about self call ups, just living the pro life, and I mean, Jan, we can't thank you so much for doing
Self
this,
call
man.
ups, self trades. I mean, the man, the myth, the legend.
that's why I'm an agent and familiar with right now.
There you go.
I go through everything.
Well, you've already,
yeah.
you've already got experience too.
Yep.
That's awesome. Hey, man, thanks so much for doing this with us. We
Yeah.
really appreciate it.
Seriously, this was awesome.
Thank you guys. I had a lot of fun.
Oh, buddy, thank you, and Nasravi.
Na zdraví.
Yeah, yes.
Do
So,
svidania.
so I'd like, I would just like to send a shout out to VTG jerseys.
Oh yeah.
You've got Brantley Atkinson's got some incredible vintage jerseys
Oh, yeah.
online for sale right now, and he's been pimping out our broadcast. So we got to give him some thanks.
Well, that, and he's got actually reasonable prices, and he's actually willing to talk to you guys if you want to, you know, kind of little bit of wiggle room. I know I just picked up a Michael Peck Toronto Maple Leafs signed jersey, so
And Blue Jackets.
And Blue Jay, yep. So check him out, VTGjerseys.com, and he's on eBay. And I just got to say thank you again, Jan. This has been huge.
This
I
is
really
fun.
appreciate it.
Thank
Had
you
a
for having me.
I had a freaking gas, man. Like, I love the stories. So without further ado, keep your stick on the ice and meet us the next time on the bench with Beeks.
We'll see you next week, guys. Thanks.
have a good week, guys.